What's poppin', mi gente? It's your boy back with another video. Now first up, let me apologize if you guys hear a little wind in the background. That's just the fan that I have here in my room. It's getting kind of hot out where I stay at, and their AC isn't the best here, so I'm using this to keep cool. For those of you who hear this recording and suddenly think to yourself, oh, it's so annoying, he should just shut the fan off while he's recording, you feel free to write me a long, detailed message with your grievance, and I'll be happy to drive to your house and shove your head so far up your own ass you'll be able to bring yourself to orgasm through prostate stimulation. No, but seriously, I apologize in advance, because I know it's a little annoying, but it is what it is. I'm not trying to roast and rush my way through this. Now, this particular subject is going to be one that I want to thank my man Darkman X for bringing up, because I think it's a very good subject. It's also going to be a rather short video because there's not too much to say about it, but it's one I've been wanting to cover for a while, and that's shopping in Symphony of the Night. Now, all of you know by now that the Master Librarian's room basically doubles as a shop in the original game. However, in the original game, the way this was set up is very, very fucking broken. I mean, it really makes no sense to me the way they did it. It's a room that, yes, you can teleport back to with an item you can purchase, but that's a one-way trip. That means if you were all the way in the reverse entrance and you decided you needed to go buy something and you teleported to the Librarian, you now had to teleport and walk all the way back to that reverse entrance. And that could be a hell of a grind there. And it gets very annoying very fast. The other problem with it was the fact that you could use those library cards as a kind of panic button to save yourself if you were about to get a game over. At any point you were about to die, you could easily use them to teleport to the Librarian and save yourself. And that was another huge issue that I was not happy about. And lastly, most of the items he sold were about as useful as having an asshole on your elbow. There was just no point in buying most of them. Even something like the duplicator, you had to grind for so long that by the time you could get it, I mean, everything was already doing 1 point of damage to you. What the fuck is the point of that? I mean, there really was no rhyme or reason behind it. All the spells, you could simply do the motion and get them for free. All the equipment he sold, you'd already have more than enough equipment thrown at you in the game to make them redundant. The only thing you really needed from him was the Jewel of Open. I mean, it was just completely pointless. You know, there was so much more that could have been done with him, and I really felt like he wasn't used to his full potential. And of course, since I'm remaking the whole game, this guy had to get some love as well. Now, the first and obvious way to do this was I could have set it up so that whenever you used an item to teleport to him, there was a portal left behind you that you could then enter again to go right back to where you teleported in from. But that again didn't fix the problem of you really being able to potentially use this as a panic button, and I really didn't want to interrupt the gameplay action like that. I want this to again be a thing where your focus is on gameplay while you're in the middle of a stage. Now, after the stage is over, different story. If you want to go buy a couple of items, hey, that's a perfect time to do it, so that's exactly how I've implemented it. I've basically set it up so that you do have to have an initial meeting with him, and you do still get the Jewel of Open from him. In fact, it's a required purchase, and it's impossible to proceed further in the game without walking to his room. There's a blue door blocking your way now. On the other side of things, that Jewel of Open is now only costs 100 gold. And normally I've set up candles to not respawn in the game until you leave the stage. But in this case, there's an exception. Outside of his room, there's actually a candle that will drop. I'm not sure if I'm going to decide on 10 or 25 gold yet. Probably just 25 gold, because as long as you have under 100 gold, it'll keep respawning. As soon as your gold is 100 or up, that candle stops appearing. So this way, if you get there and you don't have 100 gold, you're not stuck, you know, completely out of luck, etc. Now, once you have the initial meeting with him, he also gives you this relic called a magical ticket. Now, this is a replacement for the library card, and it's basically a permanent relic. Now, once you have this relic, anytime you end the stage, there's an extra option there to speak to the Master Librarian or return to the Master Librarian's shop. I don't know what I'm going to label it as. It's basically going to be shopping, and I'm going to refer to it as a shop going forward, because repeatedly saying the words Master Librarian's room gets annoying really, really fast. I'm talking like having your boy trying to poke you in the ear with his dick annoying really fast. It's just going to really piss you off quick, so we're going to refer to it as a shop going forward. Anyway, so with that being said, it's being set up so after you meet him the initial time, you can pick shop from the menu before you go to the next stage, and you can go in and purchase whatever you want. Now, he is also going to sell a number of things. The first and obvious one is going to be hearts and sub-weapons. This way, between stages, if you want to get a couple more hearts to help with the next stage, or you want to get a sub-weapon that maybe you won't get till later on in the stage, you can buy these here. Potions, anti-venoms, curative items in general, etc. are purchasable here, but their price increases the more times you purchase them. And this is again an idea I got from Devil May Cry, where you'll notice if you purchase healing items, the more you purchase from the time statues, the greater their price goes up. And it's the same thing here. And this prevents a person from being able to tank their way through the game by buying tons of potions, healing constantly, and then going into the shop and buying some more potions, and completely removing all challenge from the game. It's also being set up so that the equipment that unlocks, all the equipment you can get won't be unlocked at the beginning. It unlocks as you go further and further in the game, and it's useful stuff that you can't get in the stages. Okay, there'll be unique armor, a couple of unique weapons, accessories, capes, helmets, etc. And these are things that it's being set up to be balanced in a way that, let's say for example, well, let me think for a second. I'm not sure how soon you meet the Librarian now. So let's just say, okay, let's just throw an arbitrary number out there. Let's say by the 5th stage, if by going through the game normally you had accumulated 5,000 gold, it would be set up so you'd have an item for around that much that you would want to get. So you have motivation to actually pick up all that gold and want to spend it to make your character stronger. Now, you don't have to do that to survive because it's a minor boost. But again, it's encouraging you to collect this gold and actually use it versus just holding on to it. There'll also be some extremely expensive and rare items that you'll need to save up a lot of gold for, kind of endgame stuff. But the game is, again, being set up so that early on you don't get much gold, and by the end, you're getting huge amounts and swimming in it. Kind of that whole balance of greater risk, greater reward, higher difficulty, higher payout, so that we balance the game out. Now, that's not all the Librarian's going to sell. He's not just going to sell basic equips. He isn't going to sell any permanent relics that I can think of at the moment. I don't really see a point behind that. Not ones you would normally purchase with gold, which leads us into another feature I'm putting in for him, the medal system. Now, medals are a collectible you get from meritorious acts of valor. And I'm not talking like Order of Ecclesia, where you have a medal for one boss and a medal for another boss. No, no, no. It's a generic medal that if you get one, you know, it's the same item over and over, but you can use a certain number of them to actually purchase things. And these can be things like unique relics that'll make you more powerful, cheats, stuff from the cheats menu, you know, and that's another thing I wanted to talk about briefly is cheats. You know, of course, if I'm going to put cheats in the game, I'm going to balance it so you can't use a cheat until you've beaten the stage already, unless you're playing on a cleared file, of course. And I'm also going to put something in to balance out, so if you use a cheat, it of course damages your score heavily. So you can't just grind through the game invulnerable, getting the top score, top time, etc. That wouldn't make any sense, it would break the game. But for those who maybe want to play the game, have a little fun, well, maybe you want to play with unlimited hearts. Maybe you want to play with a particular sub-weapon locked to you. Maybe you want to play with no cooldown. Maybe you want to play with unlimited jumps. Maybe you want to play with in an unlimited mode. I mean, there's all kinds of things I could do with this, and it gives me a lot more options, and these are things that I would use medals for. Medals would be in limited quantities in the game, too, so, I mean, one way of getting a medal would be killing a boss without getting hit at all, without taking any damage. Another way would be by beating the arena challenges, but the bottom line is they're in limited numbers. You won't be able to get everything in one playthrough, so the idea is you're going to have to play through the game several times to get enough medals to unlock everything. And this was inspired heavily by Streets of Rage Remake. If you guys, for those of you who don't know what this is, go ahead and Google it, but a couple of years back, there were a couple of die-hard fans that remade Streets of Rage, and they remade Streets of Rage 1, 2, and 3, added in new items, new characters, new stages. The AI was overall for the enemies, and they had a shop there that was really amazing, that you really had to play the game a lot to unlock everything, and there were lots of things you could do in there to make the game much more interesting. Another one I was thinking of is the option of potentially using medals to purchase records to play unique tracks, or maybe a music selection system. All kinds of stuff to basically let you customize the game in a way you'd like, but you have to earn them. Another thing that I've mentioned many times, being able to color your character. Not just your character's cape, but being able to colorize the character in any way you want. Pick whatever color you want for every particular color in their palette. And that's another thing I would want to set that you'd have to unlock. Just extra features like that, a reason to play the game multiple times, add more replayability to it, while also making it so when you unlock new things, it makes the game more interesting. It's not just the same system over and over where you're just running through the game grinding, but no, it gets more interesting and unique as you go along, and there are new ways to do things. But I'm digressing a little bit here. Bottom line is, this is something you'll do through the Librarian. You use those medals through him, you'll use your gold through him. I'm also going to put in a couple of upgrades that, just like in with the potions and everything else, as you buy upgrades, let's say life max ups, MP max ups, heart max ups, they get more and more expensive, so you have to go more and more time between buying them. And it also offsets the fact that you collect more gold as you go through the game. But long story made short, the idea is to make the Librarian a little more useful than that asshole on your elbow I was talking about earlier, and to make it so you actually have a reason to go back to him without it being a long, tedious trip that you just think to yourself, oh god, here we go again, let me use this fucking library card, let me walk up to this puckered old fucking man and buy this useless shitty item, and then let me trek back to the teleporter, and then let me trek back to the entrance to the reverse castle, and oh god, while I'm at it, I forgot to wipe earlier, I did it wrong, my asshole's all tore up now. Ugh. It just wasn't fun, guys. Felt bad, man. So the idea is to make it a much more enjoyable experience while not interrupting the gameplay as much. And that's a huge part of this remake to me. Uninterrupted gameplay. Not having to go in and out of menus to put on equipment number 1,235,763.128 just to gain a boost of 0.000000000000001 in your attack. I mean, I hated that in the original game. And I hate the idea of doing that here. Interrupting your gameplay to go to a shop, come back. I just don't like it. I just don't. I really feel like this is something you should be able to do between stages, and that's it. So, with that being said, that's all I really want to talk about here. If you want to support this project, subscribe to my Patreon. I did put up one little update last week. I had a new animation done for the newest boss to join the Castlevania Symphony of the Night hacked engine, so feel free to check that out. If you want to make a one-time donation, you can do that via PayPal. If you can't afford to donate at all, feel free to tell everybody you know about this project. You know, post up links to my videos everywhere you can. You know, Reddit, 4chan, all those crazy places. Doesn't matter if people are trolling, calling it whatever they want. The more attention it gets, the better off it is for the project in the long run. The more talent comes my way, the more potential sprite artists, music people, people with creative ideas, etc. I'll meet, and that's a plus for the engine. This overall development. As usual, I also have the Facebook group for any of you who want to join and talk to other like-minded Castlevania fans, and there is a forum up as well, so feel free to join either one of those. Everybody's welcome. But with that, I've got to get back to doing some stuff for the Wolf form. I had already scheduled myself to be totally done with him, but with everything that's been going on with spriting and with work and etc., fundraising for the project, I've gotten slowed down a little bit, so I need to get back to that. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like it, comment down below, let me know what you'd like to see next in the series, and I'll talk to you all later. Peace. Oh yeah, and before I forget, yes, you will be able to sell items back to the Master Librarian. No, I have absolutely, positively, no goddamn Jesus bicycle riding motherfucking idea why they didn't make that an option in the original game. It was the stupidest thing they could have forgotten in all history. But as you can see here, I didn't forget it. I hear y'all's feedback, and I know y'all's pain, and I'm here to alleviate it. Deuces.